Okay. It looks like we're live. Technology in the Arts 2.0, Series 1, Episode 7. My name is Brian Kelly,
And I'm John Lemesney.
and my head looks ridiculously big tonight for some reason. Hold on, let me see if I can.
There you go. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
There we go.
Keep going.
So,
Keep going. Down.
no. That's another one of your webcasts.
Yeah, it is.
So, John, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks. Uh, have you been up to anything lately? Anything of interest you'd like to share?
Well, we made it through the academic open at Princeton University, and at the end of September, everybody breathes a big sigh of relief, and I am joining in that. We have a little bit of a break this week from our seminar schedule, and therefore it's kind of it's almost like vacation, really. We're just catching up on Blackboard tickets and training tickets and that sort of a thing. And generally speaking, things are going great. How about you?
Excellent. Okay. I mean, the mysterious thing we talked about last week did not pan out, but I think I had a good showing in that, and I'm also still going to be vague about what that was, but
So I think we should just expose it. So you were playing a
yes,
game of chess with a friend, and you lost the game.
yeah, yes, that was it. That was it.
Well, that's nothing to be ashamed of, Brian. I'm not very good at chess either.
Yes, it was a little challenging, and just got bit by a final move at the end, apparently.
That checkmate.
Yes. So, yeah, other than that, things have just been dealing with a website issue at my job uh, that's been dragging on for far too long, but hopefully that's getting resolved soon. But that's about it. So, uh, any objections to just jumping into discussion tonight?
Never. Never,
Excellent.
never.
Excellent. So, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I have three things I want to talk about tonight, and I think you have three things as well, right?
Yeah.
You want to do a little like onesie twosie, backsie foursey?
Sure. Unless you see any natural segues between something you're going to talk about and mine. It didn't sound like it, though. So why don't we
No,
just?
I don't think that necessarily they're very connected, but I figure instead of me going on for 20 minutes and then you going on for 20 minutes, we could maybe introduce something, exchange, and then switch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about are these. So I just got these little stickers from Amazon, and the the idea with these stickers is that they have an NFC tag in them.
Mm-hmm.
NFC is near field communications technology, and very specifically, you may have heard of NFC if either you have an Android device or you've heard of any critique of the iPhone iOS operating system. Uh, the reason being that NFC is meant to sort of replace QR codes by taking the visual and replacing it with the physical, or actually the radio sort of physical. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens is this sticker with this little chip in it,
Mm-hmm.
it gets powered by an emission from a antenna on the back of an Android phone, most Android phones and tablets. And what happens is there's a little tiny bit of code inside of the tag that can be executed to that device, and if the device allows the code to be executed, then something happens. So for example, let's say that every time I walk out my door, I want to listen to Spotify on my phone. That's reasonable, right?
Sure.
Better yet, let's say that every time I get into my car, I want to listen to my podcasts. There are lots of ways I can do this, and usually the way that
That
happens.
does not sound reasonable, by the way.
Why?
I'm just
Oh, okay.
listening to yourself. I'm
Oh.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So I don't typically. I mean, I'll usually watch it like the day after when we do a podcast, but
I do too. I do too.
Yeah. But I really love like the Twit Network and NPR podcasts, and there's a lot of great podcasts out there. We'll have to dedicate a show sometime to our favorite podcasts.
Dakota Ring Theater and Mustache Rangers.
Dakota Ring Theater and Mustache Rangers. So I like to listen to podcasts when I'm in the car, right? Because I spend about a half an hour, despite the fact that I'm about 5 minutes away from work, I spend about a half an hour in the morning.
Thanks to Route 1.
Thanks to Route 1. It's not Route 1's fault, it's the people on Route 1. But, yeah, so I'll get in my car and I'll have to go through the little fumbly bit where I say, I want to listen to a podcast, which means turning on the phone, clicking on the application, going to a specific podcast and hitting play. And it's not a lot of work, but it's more work than you need to do, because all I have to do is program this tag to automatically turn my phone on, set the volume, turn on my podcast application, and hit play. And all I have to do is touch my phone to the tag, and all those things happen. And that's just one example of any number of things that I can make happen. If it is a sensor on the phone, such as Wi-Fi or GPS, if it is an application that can be manipulated, such as Spotify or Google or Google Plus or Facebook, or if it is some built-in action on the phone, such as SMS or mail or whatever, they can be automatically managed using the applications and these tags. And because these tags are stickers and they're physical, you can have physicality associated with them. So one thing that I can do, for example, is I can put a sticker by my door that whenever I walk up to my door, I can hit my phone onto the sticker, onto the NFC tag, and I can check into Foursquare or check into Facebook, or do something related to geolocation, such as adding a note to Latitude on Google, right? So, you know, this podcast is, amongst other things, about technology and art. And so one of the things I'm really kind of excited about this is the potential for artists to make use of this in a gallery space, or to make use of it in a right in the same places that you would have a QR code, except QR codes typically tend to be a bit more effort, right? You have to focus your phone, and you have to hold it, and you have to find it, and you have to turn on some special application. The thing about NFC is that it's usually always on or always off. You don't typically even have to turn it on. It's sort of like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. You know, it's sort of like a big switch operation. And so if you turn on NFC and you allow a particular tag to operate, to manipulate your phone in some way, then these tags just work. So you could walk into a space like a local restaurant, and you could hit your phone onto the counter, and you could use NFC in order to check in or to get a discount or to do both of those things. And so I think there's great potential. A pack of 10 cost me $20, and they're reusable. So you can erase and reuse them if you want. And I just got them in the mail, and I'm really excited about them. I got them on Amazon. If you do a search for NFC sticker, you'll be able to find your own stack of 10 for $20.
Cool. Very cool.
So what would you use them for?
I know. I was thinking of
if you could use them, because you don't have an NFC.
yeah, right. But I was thinking when you talked about the artistic aspect of it. We talked about that installation in Philly where you could interact with it with that was iPhone only, but maybe something of that nature where the phone is programmed to do a certain thing. And actually, maybe this will segue into one of the things I want to talk about, where maybe each sticker or each code uh, causes a different action to happen in some kind of public media installation, such as the open air light show that's in Philly right now,
Yeah,
something of
if
that
you
nature.
change the colors or the intensity of the light or something
Right.
like that.
Or the music, maybe it changes, tempo. Maybe it can be variable, obviously. So I think that would be a interesting use for it, and that actually does segue into something I want to talk about in a way. So, and I'm going to make it segue
Okay,
if
force.
you
Sorry.
if you allow me to.
Oh, yeah, go
And,
ahead.
and that's something I've read about today. It's called Scape.
Yeah.
It's a music composition app for the iPad, developed by Brian Eno, music innovator extraordinaire, and Peter Chilvers for generative music. And it's $5.99 in the App Store, and it allows the user to create these kind of ethereal soundscapes, hence the name, using shapes and figures, which they refer to as elements, as building blocks. And what's kind of cool is that each element has, as Eno describes, an independent life story. So that means that you can go from one track doing one composition, use an element, and then the next time you do another composition, you can use that same element, but it will behave slightly differently than it did the previous time. So there'll be subtle changes in the characteristics of that element,
Yeah.
and you can apply certain rules about when the pieces interact with each other. You can change the mood to create different atmospheres, different environments. It's kind of cool. I just saw it today, and that's something kind of along the lines where each NFC tag could be a different element of a composition. So that's where the segue comes in. So anyway, I thought it was interesting, and maybe in the show notes when I post those with the edited version of the webcast, I'll include the YouTube video that shows how Scape works. So
Okay.
it was kind of cool to check that out earlier today.
Agreed.
Okay.
Oh, my turn. Okay, so I have been, as I just said, I got these things on Amazon, and I've been buying some books lately, which always surprises me when I pay for paper. But I do pay for paper for things that I do not think would be as enjoyable or as useful if they were in electronic form.
Mm-hmm.
And because I read a lot of design and technology and art books, I tend to like the plates in these books, and I tend to like the illustrations in full size as opposed to in the reduced size of my tablet. And so the first book I wanted to show tonight, first of two, is this book called Universal Principles of Design. Right there, Universal Principles of Design. It's a nice little logo there indicating 25 years. And what this book is a beautiful collection of concepts in design, such as, let me pick one that I like quite a bit. So here's one. Who is that, Brian?
It's JFK and Richard Nixon.
That's JFK and Richard Nixon, and the reason that they are there is because they are an indication of attractiveness bias.
Right.
And attractiveness bias, as a universal principle of design, says that if you are able to attract the audience to your idea as opposed to repelling your audience from your idea, you're more likely to be able to communicate in design. And it seems like such a simple concept, but many people credit the fact that Kennedy was more attractive in his televised appearance than Nixon, and that Nixon was more attractive in his theoretical and voice and other ways in his non-visual appearances.
Yeah, Nixon was also sweating profusely that night.
Exactly right. And there are a lot of things like this. Another one of my favorites is the biophilia effect. And all of them are illustrated beautifully. You know, you can see somebody standing in a hallway, and then you can see them in the same hallway with a lot more nature present.
Mm-hmm.
And the indication of studies indicated in this book talk about how the presence of nature can make someone feel or appear unto themselves as though they are thinking more clearly, which may actually generate clearer thought and higher order thinking. And so the same way as high ceilings and open space can have sort of positive effects for thought, the biophilia effect says that the presence of nature has those same kinds of positive effects. So anyway, universal principles of design, if you're interested, or better yet, if you do design in any of your work, or you're interested in design as a series of concepts, or you just want to know more about the way that people make choices about the way things are designed, and you can look around you. I look around me in this small space and I see a billion things that have been designed by somebody, and they all made choices, and many of the choices have to do with the concepts in this book. Really, really fantastic book.
Excellent.
Highly recommended.
I would like to check that out.
Yeah.
I guess I can segue into...
Hey, I like your segues.
Yes, because speaking of design...
segues.
Yeah. Obviously, just a few days ago was the 1-year anniversary of Steve Jobs passing. And I don't know if you saw it. I posted it on the our Facebook page, which if... yes, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/technology in the arts. Was a lost.
How did we ever get such a beautiful URL? You would think that there would be 100 people with that URL long before we had it.
I don't know, but we got technologyinthearts.com. That's all I can tell you.
We're just lucky.
Yep. Anyway, there's probably technologyinthearts.com.
There's definitely technology in the arts.
Yeah. So and that "and" though is the difference. Anyway, this technologist. Let me get. Sorry, I went to. Let me see. His name is Marcel Brown. He's a technologist who has this Life, Liberty, and Technology blog, and to mark the 1-year anniversary of the passing of Steve Jobs, he posted a link to this speech that Jobs gave at the International Design Conference in Aspen in 1983, which had the theme of "The future isn't what it used to be." And the speech originally resurfaced last June, and that prompted him to do some more research. He wanted to find out more about it, and what that led him to was a friend of his actually attended the conference, found a cassette tape. I guess they, as most conferences do, they sold the recordings of the keynotes, and he had the cassette tape of Steve Jobs' full speech, which, like I said, it originally resurfaced resurfaced in June, but that did not have the Q&A that followed the speech, which was also amazing, as I'm about to get into. But so there was a missing component of this speech, so it truly was lost to a general degree. Anyway, during the speech and the follow-up Q&A period, Jobs talked about the future. And remember, this is 1983. The Lisa, the Apple Lisa, had just come out, and Macintosh, I don't think it had even been announced yet. But, I mean, that was Super Bowl 1984, right? So, we're a few months away from that. And even then, he was talking about wireless radio links and computers that would be like books that we'd carry around with us. And here's a point in time where wired networking wasn't even really a reality. I mean, computers didn't have a universal way of communicating with each other, and he even mentioned that they were 5 years away of figuring that out for the workplace, and about 10 to 15 years away from working out networking for the home.
It was a reality. It just wasn't ubiquitous or easy, or it was very special.
Right. But what he meant was, where it was functional for normal people to use in an everyday environment. They were still years away from doing that. And
there are still people who have that reality too. I mean, there's plenty of have-nots still, sadly.
Right. Exactly. But I mean, his timeline was kind of close. I mean, 10 to 15 years out from 1983, and talking about home networking. That was pretty close. And what was a really interesting thing that he talked about was he mentioned how TV started out as this technology that it was basically radio with video. It was like talking heads. They didn't do anything with it. And then it went into the I Love Lucy stage, where they started doing comedy and started doing, kind of plays, but in the form of television shows. And that's where he thought computing was at that time. They were in the I Love Lucy stage. And he talked about the next phase of video, which was, interactive digital video. And he mentioned an MIT project that had taken place in Aspen 4 or 5 years earlier. So we're talking about the late 70s here, where they took a truck and photographed the streets of Aspen, the intersections, buildings, put it all onto interactive video disc, and created this system where you could navigate, much like Google Street View, through the streets. You could pick a direction you wanted to go at an intersection. You could actually go into some of the buildings. They went into some of the buildings with the cameras, and you could actually virtually tour the entire city. But what was ironic, especially in light of recent events, Steve Jobs, talked about it. He's like, it's really amazing, but it's not incredibly useful. So even back then, his
disdain for Google.
Yeah, his understatement, his underestimation of street mapping, online interactive street mapping was a little off. He that future predicting genius he had was just not quite on target with that, and that might explain the Apple Maps disaster to some degree. But everything else is pretty spot on, and it really hit home that regardless of your personal feelings for Steve Jobs, as and let's face it, he had his many faults. It's hard to deny he was one of the great thinkers, innovators, and
no question,
showman of his time.
I agree. I've said a few times that despite my personal differences with his philosophy, there were a few things that he did that I thought were fabulous. I remember his open letter to record executives about the idea of freeing that music. Not even freeing it, but making it in open...
and fair to everybody. Fair to consumers, fair to artists, fair to iTunes.
Agreed. So I mean, we had our similarities as well as our differences, but more differences certainly.
Right. But I
Uh,
mean, when you listen to this and think about it, this is 1983, and think of, I mean, yeah, he wasn't, Apple wasn't the first to create an MP3 player. They weren't the first to create a tablet, but they made them the way consumers wanted them, apparently. And yeah, that was part of the reality, distortion field of Steve Jobs. But it's hard to deny that the world is a less interesting place without him.
oh, no question. Two things came to mind while you were telling us about that idea. The first is that you referred to the sort of ancient nature of television and the idea that in the early days there were essentially talking heads and not really doing much with the medium, and here we are, essentially talking heads, not doing much with the medium. So I think that that's special.
Well, we're going to work on that for series 2.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, you know what? We would be able to put some video in here if Google would allow us to.
Oh, we can do lots of things. I mean, we can share our screens. We can, that's not the question. It's that.
Yes, but it would be nice if we could cut to a prepared report or a prepared interview. Like, say we went to Trenton Computer Festival or went to some artworks thing and talk to some people. It'd be nice to incorporate that, and we can, because they won't let us share a video.
I wonder if we could, because if I do a screen share and then share a video, I'll bet you we wouldn't have the issues that we have using the YouTube app.
Well, I did that with the MySpace video.
Yeah,
Remember?
were we not able to hear that?
No, we could hear it a little bit.
Well, I'm saying that like I have a special sound driver installed. It's not open source, but it's free on my Macintosh that allows me to send the signal from my system sound to input. And so if I was using that, I mean, I'd have to do a little bit of finagling, but I'll bet you I could circumvent the constriction that they have on, or I could just hold my speaker, my mic up to my speaker. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I'll bet you it would. Let me do a test right now, and we will see. Right? So,
oh, here we go. We were doing so well.
hold on.
Here we are. Here we are testing in a live webcast.
There's nothing wrong with that. So
Oh, there's plenty wrong with that.
nothing wrong with that. So if let's see. By the way, here's my beautiful new awesome new page tab thing. So if I go to youtube.com and let's see, we'll do Chrome Web Lab. Hopefully this is not X-rated.
Wow, 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 wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna come back now.
I could hear it.
We'll just see what happens. Hopefully it'll be good.
If you could expand the window to be a little more of the screen, that'd be better. But
I actually did expand it. I wasn't sure whether or not. Can you see me moving?
what was that?
Can you see me moving?
Yes.
Okay. Because my screen has frozen for my preview. Weirdly. So anyway, I'll bet you we can use that methodology in order to share a little bit of video. We just have to be careful about what kind of video. I actually just got a notice from YouTube for a video that I've had up for like 5 years that there was a piece of music in there that I did not own. And
Huh.
I said, really? Like I had to go back and check. So at any rate, yeah, Talking Heads and uh, what was the other thing that I wanted to share? Talking Heads and I
Yeah,
lost it. I lost
that's
it.
okay.
Not really, but okay.
You,
So,
you committed you committed piracy. Okay, that's all we need to know.
uh, I believe it's my turn. Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay. Right. So I have another book to share, and this is a very similar book to the Universal Principles of Design book. This one's called 100 Ideas That Changed Graphic Design. And this is a similarly structured book, uh, except it very specifically has to do with graphic design. And this book deals with graphic elements like this one, right? So what is that?
Mickey Mouse.
It's Mickey Mouse. What do you notice behind Mickey Mouse?
It's that sunburst type thing that you always see.
Sunburst type thing, and that is referred to in this book as a rays effect. And here's another indication of that graphic symbol.
Okay.
And it exposes a little bit of the history and a little bit of the reasoning behind a graphic movement. There's also things like pastiche and the book and color blocks. This one's beautiful. Color blocks. And decorative logotypes and swashes on caps and typography. And the square format, right? Think about the way that is upside down, but think about the way in which the square format affects the design just because of the nature of the shape of it. As a matter of fact, in my 365 Sketches project, I moved away from square design because I found it very limiting comparative to the golden rectangle. And it's books like this that, as a designer, I feel like one of the things I want to do is I just want to get a big stack of index cards and write each one of these concepts out on an index card, and probably each one of these concepts as well on an index card, and continue my project. 365 was in its second year when it went on hiatus. I want to maybe sort of like shuffle those cards and pull 2 or 3 out and try and make a design that exemplifies 3 of those concepts, you know?
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to pull one that was like pastiche and book and rays, you know, and what would that look like and what would that do? And, you know, you don't have to stare at a blank canvas with fear. You know, there are plenty of resources like this and like this that can help you to break out of your designer's block, for sure.
Excellent. By the way, that reminds me of the whole like drawing a card type thing. There's a Doctor Who Doctor Who follower on Twitter.
I was thinking maybe we could start a drinking game for
Yes.
technology in the arts. Whenever you mention a Dalek or Doctor Who or Peter Gabriel or Ben Folds, everybody has to drink.
That it's just gonna happen, you know. But what's cool is that he has like a bunch of old Doctor Who episodes on DVD. He probably has every Doctor Who episode on DVD that is available. And basically, what he does, he reviews one, posts like a multiple tweet review of the episode, and they go back to, you know, all the way to the first one in 1963, and and then at the end he'll like, okay, time to draw another card, and then that like is the preview for what he's going to review the next night. So it's kind of a cool thing to follow. So that'd be cool if you did that, where you just drew a card and it's like, oh, you know, this is the concept I'm going to be doing, tomorrow, and then we'd look for that creation.
Well, it's funny. I mean, with all of these hangouts that I've been doing with friends, one of the
Now
things.
you have no time to do.
Well, no. What I was going to say was there are some that really are not necessarily something that I want to have a dialogue, but really more of a monologue. Surprise.
Lamazny wanting to hear himself talk.
Right. But of course,
What world is this?
I really love Inkscape, and I think that having an opportunity to do a screencast of Inkscape has been something that I've tried to do for a very long time. And so if I was able to take one of these concepts, think up a design, and illustrate that concept in Inkscape using a screencast, that might have some popularity to it.
Yeah, I was actually using Inkscape today to. I was working on some new logo ideas for Tandem with the Random for when I relaunch that next year. So
yeah,
some alternate logos. I have this concept where I'm going to stick with the same kind of logo format, but just have some differences in the font maybe every now and then, just to kind of randomize it. Kind of that would be the the theme there. But I don't know. I'm just
maybe have part of it. Have Tandem always be the same font and have it be really distinctive, and then
Random would be different.
Random would be
Yep, that's kind of what I was doing. I have the I'll show it to you at some other point.
Yeah.
But it's not ready yet. I just started today, so I was just playing around with some ideas.
Yeah, and if you have a really constant palette where the the random always shows up in the same color, I think you wouldn't have the confusion that you might have otherwise of changing your font, every once in a while or every time.
Like I said, the blocking would still be the same. Like, so the words would always be in the same location in the logo, but it would just be different font.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the last thing I want to talk about real quick was I put up another post of actually, I guess before I talk about that real quick, if you haven't, we mentioned the outtakes from our old podcast from 2006 to 2008, and I put another edited version from what was already on our finale back in December 2008. I shrank it down a little bit, and also put the outtakes from our infamous Walking Around Outside podcast, which was a mess. So that is the audio for that is now on the Technology in the Arts blog at technologyinthearts.com. And John is going to that for me. Thank you. I think.
Whoops. Technology in Hearts.
That's.
It looks like that's available. So close.
Well, there's another hangout for you.
Yeah, it is.
You could do that with a cardiac surgeon or something. It's a heart surgeon.
Something, definitely.
Yeah, so there's. I just did a quick post just to put those up since we talked about it, and they were funny.
Sharon Libis was educated in the sciences, and that training in the scientific method colors the way she approaches her art. Each piece is an experiment, and she frequently borrows matrices. Matrices. Each piece.
Good times.
Wow,
the quality of our broadcast has improved greatly.
Yes, and one of my other favorite outtakes is, even though it doesn't apply anymore, is I just did the Firefox talk, and you can tell I was excited about the Firefox talk, and you can tell. Like, no, I can't. I do not want to know how excited you were about that Firefox talk.
Matrices.
Yeah, matrices.
Matrices. Matrix.
Ife, remember, I took it out, but remember Ife and Benin.
uh,
And then what was there was another one that's great with you. Oh, it was a D Lab, and you're talking about D Lab. I'm like, what is that? What does D Lab stand for? Distance learning something 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 dark side.
Distance learning something something something.
So okay. So anyway, also on the blog is the post that I put up, kind of what we were talking about last week, posting something artistic that relates to technology, and this was something. It's a song "Form of Life" that had its beginnings back in the '80s. It was I just got my sampler. With the sampler I got this really great big drum sound, which is actually in the video below that. You can this is kind of backwards. The original is below in the video, so you can hear the drums. I mean, they're real kick-ass drums. That sample. And it's just a simple, straightforward bass line.
Just a tease.
Yes, and then it went into this like little lead synth sound, and that was all it was. I mean, there were no chords, there was nothing. It was, it never really got anywhere. I had some lyrical ideas in my head for the chorus. Never wrote them down for the verse. Never really wrote them down. They just always stuck in my head all these years. So anyway, last year when GarageBand became available for the iPhone, it was available for the iPad, but then they finally shrunk it down for the iPhone. I downloaded it, and I just figured I'd do some experimenting. The first thing I did, I did a really basic version of the Doctor Who theme, of course. But the next challenge I want to do like a full song with vocals totally on the iPhone, and I figured that one would work because it was so simple. So I recreated it, and that's the sound. Sorry, I switched to your camera when you were on the blog, so it wouldn't come back to me. So anyway, I recreated it. The drums aren't as good, but I did the best I could from memory. Used the lyrics that I had in my head all these years for the chorus, and then went back and kind of wrote some lyrics that fit in with the other verses. That was the other thing. I never wrote a bridge for it. It's just verse, chorus, and then fade out. So, but the vocals I recorded using the iPhone's built-in microphone. So it was totally done. The new version was totally done with the iPhone alone. I didn't bring it over to my Mac. I didn't use my professional microphone. I just did it straight into the iPhone, and it's
theoretically you could have though, yeah.
I could have, yes. I have brought I have upgraded GarageBand, so I can take anything I start on the iPhone and bring it over to my Mac now. But which I have done.
No. I'm saying, doesn't the iPhone have an external mic in? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I wanted to just use the iPhone. That was my goal.
That's what I'm saying. In other words, I understand you just wanted to use the built-in elements of the iPhone, but if you wanted to increase the quality and still just use the iPhone,
yes,
you'd be able to plug in an external mic.
I wanted to test if I just had this in my hand and I was on a long plane ride or something. I just wanted to see.
And you wanted to piss off your.
Yes, of course I wouldn't be recording vocals. I just want to see with this in my hand, just this. what I could do with it.
Does the airplane trip play into the fantasy, or is it just? How about cab rides? Would you ever do it on a cab ride?
There is no fantasy. I just wanted to see what could be done with this thing in my hand without anything else attached to it.
But just theoretically, if you were in the back of a cab and a song came to you along with the rhythm of the ride, and you wanted to work it out on your iPhone, you could now.
Yes.
And the lyrics would, have to do with the cab ride. Maybe you could get the cab driver to.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because there's a song on my SoundCloud called Nashville.
It's funny you should say that.
there's a song on my SoundCloud called Nashville that back in 2006 when I went to Nashville for the CASE conference when I was at Ryder, I loved it. I loved the city of Nashville, and on the plane there, I was kind of thinking. I had my pad, writing down like some of the things I wanted to see and experience down in Nashville, and on the way back, I had some song ideas, and I wanted to write an ode to Nashville, and that I wasn't. My lyrics suck, and so I wound up writing like literally about being on the plane, going down, taking out my pad, writing down some thoughts. I mean, it's quite literally telling the story of trying to write a song about Nashville before I even got to Nashville, and then writing the chorus is the end result of the trip. But anyway, getting back to Form of Life, so the goal was just to do what by the way, yeah, this is the Yankees-Orioles game, so it's
okay.
2-1 Orioles.
And everybody drank.
Yes, because I just mentioned baseball. You didn't mention baseball earlier, so I wanted to see what I could do with just the iPhone, and it's amazing. It's amazing when I think of the days back in the late '80s when Christian Beach and I used to play at the Green Parrot in Neptune, New Jersey, and we used to have to bring our 5 keyboards, our 2 drum machines, our sequencer, our 2 samplers, and hook them all up with MIDI and basically end up with the same exact result that you get from an iPhone now. And it just amazes me. And the vocals actually sound pretty good with just the built-in mic. I was shocked how good they sounded. And
well,
of course, yeah, I use some.
It's not as though you were making a call.
Yeah, I put some effects on it.
Really?
Why don't you play the
effects? Effects? You put effects on something? That's surprising.
Yeah, I always put effects on.
I know.
No, my voice is terrible.
No, I'm thinking about Tandem with the Random and the interviews, which are highly phased.
That's only to get rid of the noise, though.
Uh-huh.
I do that to get rid of the back. I would love to be able to. If you notice, the one I did live, my screen froze up.
I often wonder if you are interviewing Eddie Van Halen whenever the phase comes in, because I hear eruption.
The ones I've done live, which haven't been much. I mean, they're usually done by Skype. Sound pretty good.
Do you still have to use a third-party app in order to record Skype calls?
I do use Call Recorder.
Yeah.
I still do, because it's built in now. I mean, it's integrated now at this point.
Yeah. I thought that they included it, but.
So why don't you go back to the Why don't you go back to the post?
Because we teased it, because it's 5.
No, but that was the old version. Tease the new version.
All right, ready?
And go like halfway through the song when you get there. Okay, so just go up to the.
Okay, hold on. Just wait.
I'm impatient. And my screen froze up again.
This one? The
My
top
screen.
one?
My screen froze up.
No,
All of my screen. There we go. Now I'm back.
this one?
Okay. Yeah. So let me click on you here soon. Yeah. And go like in the middle somewhere. See, drums aren't as exciting.
Yeah, it's amazing for the iPhone, the built-in mic.
Yeah, I was stunned how. I mean, it sounded better than some of the vocals I've done with my my Shure SM58, but I found out that was the result of some that was the input going into my Mac. It wasn't the microphone itself, so I solved that with a USB solution. But
Yeah, USB is nice. I'm actually using a USB mic right now.
yeah, I bought the yeah, I'm using it's the Blue Icicle. So I plug the mic into that, and then I get the USB connection to the Mac. So and the hiss that I used to get on some of my vocals is no longer there, which is nice.
Yeah, did you switch back to auto switching?
Nope. There we go.
Good.
Yeah, I'm bad at that.
Yeah. But you're
lessons for Series 2.
Lessons. Now with more Dalek. So.
You know what's amazing? You know what? I don't think I ever saw this episode of Doctor Who from the classic years, but I do slightly remember it, but I forgot about it. Like, it was something that I remember.
That is amazing.
I remember vaguely years ago hearing this, and I forgot about it. But there's an episode of Doctor Who, I think Stones of Blood, something.
Is it The Trouble with Tribbles?
From 78, I believe. I think it's from
I think it is The Trouble with Tribbles.
Yeah. But K9, the robotic dog, is in it.
Yeah.
And this woman sees the dog, and she's...
I heard a theory that K9 is not actually a dog.
It's a robot shaped like a dog. But...
No. I mean, it's an anamorphic version of a rabbit.
No. Why would it be K9 then?
It's a play on the idea of a dog, but it's actually a robotic rabbit.
Then it would be Arbit.
Ribbit.
Yeah. That'd be a robotic frog.
Rabot. It would be Rabot.
Rabot. So anyway, so this woman asked the doctor about K9, and he's like, "Oh, they're all the rage in Trenton, New Jersey." I totally forgot, and I'm wondering. I have to go back and check out the timing of when New Jersey Network first started airing Doctor Who, and maybe that was the case because I know it was New Jersey Network, and I think it was the PBS station in Cleveland, in the Cleveland area or Columbus area they were like the first PBS outlets to start airing Doctor Who in the United States back in the 70s, I believe. But it might have been the early 80s. I don't know if it predated that or not. But I can't imagine why they put Trenton, New Jersey in a Doctor Who episode.
Well, that is where NJN is.
Yeah, but I don't know if NJN started airing them before or after that episode first aired.
I don't know.
I think it might have been after, which doesn't then that makes it just really random that they would choose Trenton, New Jersey.
Oh.
But I posted that today because today actually marks the 35th anniversary since the first appearance of K9.
So, Brian, I wanted to talk to you about this because we had a conversation about it online, but and you had some consternation about it, and I just think it would be fun to see you get agitated on video. Uh, how do you feel about being referred to as a neckbeard?
Well, if it's going to be neckbeard or nutball, I guess neckbeard is the better option.
Not Paul. Yeah. Well,
But I thought that could be your graphic identity would be that giant bowl of nuts. And then you could have you could have a graphic of the bowl with your different icons as different nuts with your different hangout logos.
actually, I wanted to show you. Um, I wanted to show you the
What the heck?
potential. Yeah.
I think I'm in the time vortex now. What are you
Just
what are you
hold
doing to me?
on. Just hold on.
Well, so much for those short
Oh yeah, this is
videos.
what
Although I
pushed
think
us
this
over. This year.
I think this one was entertaining enough though. I think it was entertaining for an hour.
Just bear with me for just a second.
Just a this is the longest second in the history of time and space.
Yeah. So this is the potential branding for neckbeard.
Oh boy.
Or these, I'm not sure. I like this one, actually.
Which one?
This one with the slightly angled text box.
I can't see your cursor.
To the right. You can't see my cursor?
I saw it, but it was like hanging out over here somewhere.
Yeah, this one, I mean.
Oh, okay.
And of course, that is the ultimate neckbeard, Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
Don't you want to be a Lincoln too?
Better than a Romney.
Romney. Yeah, I'm back. Sorta. All right,
Oh boy.
we are just about under an hour.
Okay.
So we're only a half an hour over.
What else is new?
Did you go back to auto switching? Yeah, you did.
Oh, no, I did not. Of course I didn't.
Less
Why would I
control.
change now? We're at the end.
I'm not sure.
I told by Series 3 I'll have this Hangout stuff nailed down.
Thank you so much for a fantastic show as always.
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure.
I will.
We had 3 more of these, and we need to try to get somebody from Artworks on.
I can do
point.
that. I probably in the next week I'm going to be in conversations, and they have a big event coming up at the end of October, so they'll be interested in talking about it.
I'm sure they will. So yeah, we need.
Are you going to Monsters Ball or any of that?
I will try. I will try. Things are tentative at this point with me.
All right. Well, worst case scenario, I will go there with a recorder, and we will do with a video camera, and I'll do a short interview or 6 with people there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best to
All right.
do that. So all right.
Thank you, sir, and I'm hoping that we can make some in-person thing happen sometime soon.
That'd be great.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Brian.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.